Oh, now I think we'll be going live. There was a button I forgot to hit. All right, I think we're live now. We are live. So good afternoon to Skyway, and welcome to the 7th weekly live stream chat with the 2020 Dems on Your Side candidates, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Bill Irwin, and I'm running for mayor in this year's Democratic primary, and I'm joined by Council at Large candidates Hillman, Ralph Johnson, and Laura Leibowitz. We are the Dems on Your Side in column A, and hopefully the technology will cooperate for the rest of the broadcast. Been a few technical difficulties in the background earlier, and don't even get me started with Optimum this week. But hopefully all will go well. But I do want to take a moment today and say up front that though we are here continuing the struggle for honest and open and transparent government here in Piscataway, our hearts are heavy. Our hearts are heavy, and they're with George Floyd, may he rest in power, and his family and his friends. Our hearts are with our brothers and sisters up in North today, demonstrating for justice with Larry Hamm and the People's Organization for Progress, and Mayor Raz Baraka. Our hearts are with all who are saddened and outraged and speaking out and demonstrating, because this must end. We cannot continue to have a system and a society where Black folks are not afforded the same rights, the same due process, and the same justice as white people. We cannot continue to see Black people murdered with impunity by police officers who are supposed to be protecting and serving the people. Because that's right, the job of the police is to protect and serve the people. And I know that many, if not most, take that oath very seriously. I know that Ralph Johnson does. But when you have officers who are brutalizing and murdering people, and when you have a system that responds very differently to Black people and white people, I mean, look at the difference in response between white people storming state capitals with AR-15 and Black people protesting the murder in broad daylight of an unarmed man. And it becomes impossible to deny that justice is not equal. And that must change. And that is one among many reasons that we must defeat Donald Trump this November. Now, I'm not saying that defeating Trump will solve the problem of racial injustice in this country. It won't. It won't. There's a 400-year legacy of institutionalized racism that this country must come to terms with and rectify. And that is a process that is going to take a long time. But it is not a process that can even begin under fascism. It is not a process that can even begin when hate and division is sown and increased on a daily basis from the highest reaches of our government. It is not a process that can even begin when authoritarianism reigns and the right of the people to peacefully assemble and petition their government for redress of grievances is taken away. And that is exactly where we are headed with Donald Trump. Fascism must be stopped before we can move forward with democracy. So our hearts are heavy today, but we push on, and we will overcome. But I would ask everyone to just take a moment of silence, bow our heads in prayer, and think of George Floyd today and all the others who have suffered the same fate. And think about what must be done. Thank you.
So that was really good. That I'm a singer, so I just want to add a little something before we go, if you guys don't mind. Just want to share a little bit of hope and encouragement and that brought us over through many trials and tribulations. And it simply just says, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Thank you, Bill.
Nikki, that was amazing. Being in law enforcement is such a difficult process. And when you see injustice, you have to speak on it. And raising Black boys is a very difficult process. Because at some point in time, I know I have to have the conversation. And that conversation is that you're going to be treated differently than others. And the moment I have that conversation, my child is no longer a child. I now take them from being innocent to being an adult dealing with things they have no knowledge of. And we keep saying it. We're tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. Eventually, people have to come together and realize that we are the same. We bleed the same. And Piscataway really does a great job in doing so. And that's one of the reasons I moved to this town, because it's very diverse, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religions. And we all come together to ask the question, why? And acknowledge that you exist. So this slate of candidates, I thank you for being here, because we're all brought here because of our spirituality. We're not career politicians and never claim to be that. But again, our hearts go out. I hope there is justice, and I hope we'll come together.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ralph. Of course, I echo each one of the statements that you guys have made. I truly am so proud to live in Piscataway, to teach so many children and reach out to families. And I acknowledge the white privilege that I have, and I try and address that, and let my son and my children know that that is something that is a part of who we are. And so they can go forth into the world with that knowledge, into their relationships with people. That being said, it's funny, I have raised my son in Piscataway since I moved here. I was 8.5 months pregnant, and he's lived here his whole life. And every year I exchange a class picture with my sister-in-law, my nephews, who live way up in Sussex County. And it is so funny every year. I say my nephew's pictures look like Children of the Corn. For the millennials who understand that reference, there is a movie of these super blonde kids. And of course, my son's class pictures, which have always been just a snapshot of Piscataway and the beauty and the diversity that we have and that our children and our families have. And I know when our children go out from Piscataway High School and they go out into the community and to the broader world, to their universities, they are prepared, not only because of the education that we provide, but because of the culture and the neighborhoods and the communities that we raise them in. They are truly prepared citizens of the world because of who they've ridden on their school buses with, who they've played with on their teams, who they've sat and studied and prayed with in their communities and their houses of worship. And that is truly a great gift that we give them by raising them here in this town.
Let me unmute myself. So folks, I see that we've been joined by a very special guest today, Pastor Hampton of Zion Hill Baptist Church. And I know the pastor wants to say a few words. We're going to get him in just a moment. Hopefully his audio will cooperate. But as always, we want to start by wishing you and your families well during this difficult time. To encourage you to follow the governor's orders and guidance on social distancing. It's encouraging to see parts of our state starting to open back up. And it's important that we continue to follow recommendations of scientists and medical professionals. We don't want to see a sudden resurgence in the number of new cases, as has been seen in some other areas. So please, be safe out there and stay healthy. Now, we believe that we will get through this crisis together by showing caring and kindness and generosity to one another. We want to remind you that if you're in need of or able to offer non-emergency assistance, we formed a neighborhood aid network where neighbors can sign up to help each other with non-emergency needs at the link displayed here. And we want to thank the many volunteers who have participated, donated, and been part of making sure that their neighbors are taken care of. Our partnership continues with Zion Hill Baptist Church to distribute food to those who need assistance, and we want to thank everyone who has continued to donate food to support their neighbors in need. Each week, our Thoughtful Thursdays program is collecting donations of non-perishable food items at the locations shown here on the screen, and we make weekly drop-offs of the donations to our friends at Zion Hill, and we're thankful for the dedication and leadership that Pastor Hampton and all the good folks at Zion Hill have shown by continuing their efforts to serve the needs of our community. And speaking of which, as we said, we're joined today by a very special guest, Pastor Leonard Hampton, who will say a few words about the food pantry and Zion Hill's efforts during this crisis.
Hello, Bill.
Turn it over to you. Hello, Pastor.
Hey, Pastor.
Hello, Laura. How are you?
Hi, Pastor.
How y'all doing?
Good.
What's up,
It's
Pastor?
wonderful to see you and hear you. Did I miss it? Did I miss an opening song from our songbird?
That's a little impromptu something for you.
Hey, Ralph. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Pastor?
All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. First of all, I want to say that I thank God for Social Network because I'm traveling in the car and I'm able to still come on and give my salutations and also to let everyone know that the Zion Hill Baptist Church of Piscataway, New Jersey, we're not a perfect church, but we serve a perfect God. And on behalf of myself and my wife, First Lady Sharon Hampton, and our official body, we could not have made it this far without the Bill Irwin team. Amen. And all of the charitable donations of generosity, and my wife and I, the first donations that we received, we personally went in handwritten Hallmark thank you cards, and we drove and we were mailman and mail lady for the day, and we drove around and placed those thank you cards in the envelope. And I want to tell you, without this connection, this friendship, this partnership, we would not have been able to successfully continue to feed over 75 to 80 homes and individuals each week. So your donations and your charitable donations, and I want to especially thank Bill for giving us the marketing exposure. We launched right into Facebook Live as soon as COVID-19 hit. And this is COVID-19, although it has been a pandemic, again, not a pandemic alone, but a pandemic, because it has brought so much pain to different households, families, and communities, economically, socially, relationship-wise. And so during this, we have been able to transition. We've been able to shift into broadcasting, and also every charitable donation that's been given to our church, we've kept a log of it, and any and all of those donations can be written off as a tax write-off, and we have expressed that by way of letters that will go out, and if any person would be in need of requesting a printout of what they had given. Now this is monetary. This is money, that checks and different things like that. That we're giving and different gift cards and that nature. We are grateful. We have been blessed, and make no mistake about it. Everything that you have given to the Zion Hill Baptist Church of Piscataway, you have given it with love, and we have paid it forward with the same love. Okay, we're not as big as the other churches, but we're not in this for competition. We're in this because this is the vision that God had given me when I came to the church, and Ralph will tell you that. It is equipping ministries to meet the needs of the community. Although we're not politically in sync with the other big boys, and so therefore we don't get invited to ground diggings or whatever you want to call it, ground breakings. We're still wearing the helmet of salvation. And so I wanted to come on today to let all of you know that I am publicly endorsing Bill Irwin for the next mayor of Piscataway Township. I'm publicly doing that. You heard that from Reverend Dr. Leonard Hampton, the senior pastor of Zion Hill Baptist Church in Piscataway, New Jersey. It is the right thing to do. It is the needed thing to do. And I want to say this to all of you: look at our world. Look what has transpired. Look at the social injustice. Look at the classes. Piscataway is not the same town that I moved into. 2006. Several things have transpired and is currently happening. And we can't prevent everything. It's impossible for you and I to do that because we're not perfect people. We're not perfect, but we are pursuers of being examples of the type of citizenship that is needed to be continued in our town, in our state, in our city, and in our country. The injustice and the how can I put it with this keeping it real, the turmoil that we are faced with in our nation right now. It has to come to an end, but it has to be by the leadership that's not going to say looting and then shooting. Okay, not that type of leadership. Not the type of leadership that has no regard for women. Okay, not the type of leadership that is a dictatorship, but a type of leadership that is going to bring everyone together, not always agreeing, because we can disagree but not become disagreeable. Mm-hmm. But if we keep what is priority first, teamwork makes the dream work. And so I wanted to say that I support this team, and I'm looking for your prayers and your efforts, and that we become a collaboration and a joint effort, just as you have helped us to feed mouths and to put Pampers on babies and to help a family stay together, our way of nourishment, and just by letting people know that we care. That's the biggest thing now. And I said that to my membership. We're not looking for your tithes and your offerings. We want to know how you're doing. We want to know how you're coping. We want to know how you're doing as a person. Not when you become my council person. Not when you become there. But before these things, how you're doing. And so I just wanted to come on. I thank you, Bill, and Bill and Stacy, my wife and I. We love them dearly. We're friends, and most of all, we're parents and community, and Ralph and everybody else. And so I do want to say this last statement. Thank you, Bill, for allowing me to come on today. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but God made it possible.
Yes, yes, we do.
So we at Zion Hill, our food pantry in our soup kitchen, you can go on our Facebook and you can see some of the pictures that were taken about, you know, our day-to-day function and operation. But we do have a large amount of Pampers that we need to distribute. We have a large amount of Pampers that we need to distribute. So if you know any families that are in need of Pampers, we have a program that gives us Pampers. For receiving the Pampers, that has been suspended because of the COVID-19. Normally, they would have to be a resident of Piscataway or Middlesex County or different things like that. But we've been instructed that that's not the case as of now. You know, if they need it, and the proof or whatever of residency, those things like that. I think Roy told me that has not been a main criteria. I believe that they have to have some type of ID to show, okay, that there is a baby or a infant, you know, for that. And we have that. We have clothing, and we have books, and we have other things like that. But we are in need of vegetable canned goods. We're not allowed to open up the large commercial cans of vegetables. We can't put those in Ziploc bags and give those to people individually. So we are in need of chickpeas, green beans, string beans, and different things like that. I told Bill yesterday, I said, people are sure eating more healthier now. You know, like they're getting in a daily balanced nutritional meal. And I'll end with this joke. My father loves Krispy Kreme donuts. He loves them hot. And when the sign goes on, you know, he wants us to go get the Krispy Kreme donuts. And I must admit that they're really good with a nice cup of coffee. But it's sugar, heated sugar. We don't need any more sugar in leadership. We don't need any more placebos. That is not going to bring a change, but that's just going to bring satisfaction. And so I think Bill is that person that's going to bring that change. It's going to bring something to the table that's not going to be bittersweet and not going to be sweet, but it's going to be that true cane. And if you ever had a sugar cane, you can't enjoy it unless you begin to break it open.
Yes.
And so again, thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you
again. Yes. Good to see you. Good to see you. And we will be announcing the procedure tomorrow for the mail-in voting ballot and what is required. I believe Stacy gave that information to Deacon Rogers, who's going to, you know, just announce the, you know, what the procedure is for the mail-in voting ballots. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We look to be talking to you guys soon.
Leadership. Thank you so much for your personal endorsement. That means a lot. It means so much to us.
Yes.
You know, please say hi to the first lady. From Stacey.
Now wave, everybody. Just say wave. That's your thing. Did you see her, Bill?
Hey, yes, sir. How you doing?
We saw.
Be safe, y'all.
And I do just, I want to say, I want to give credit where it's due, you know, for the food donations that have been taking place. Like that's, you know, that's coming from the goodness of the folks all across Piscataway. You know, my role is to just help organize that goodness. You know, but it's really thanks to them that it's happening. You know, I believe that each one of us is, you know, is a conduit for goodness. You know, and it's really just waiting to flip that switch and close the circuit and let it flow. And you know, that's what's been happening here in Piscataway. You know, so I'm really thankful to everybody in the Neighborhood Aid Network. I'm thankful to all these folks that you know, there's not even a word said. Like I just look out the window and the food is gathering on the porch every Thursday, and you know, by the time Friday comes around, the whole back of the van is full, and it's you know, it's just a miracle to watch happen, and you know, we're really appreciative of it. So, Pastor, thanks so much again for being here today. Thank you for your support. I know, you know, I know you're in the middle of doing a lot of things. You're driving from one good work to another, even as we speak. So thanks so much for being able to hop on with us. And
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye now.
But
Thank you, Pastor. Preaching and teaching. Awesome job.
Fantastic.
Yes.
True leadership.
And endorsement.
And interesting.
Also awesome. Appreciate it.
It didn't rhyme though.
Oh, darn.
Rhyme and alliteration. All right. Well, that was a great special guest, a great visit from the pastor. We thank him for being with us. Again, my name is Bill Irwin, and I'm joined today by our candidates for council at large, Mula Nikki Tillman, Ralph Johnson, Laura Leibowitz. Would you like to take we're already, I guess, maybe a half hour in, so just take
That's all right. We're gonna let it
brief
go.
introduction. Yeah, we'll take as long as we need.
Well, let me just start. First of all, happy Saturday to everyone. This is the day the Lord is going to rejoice and be glad in it, despite what's going on around us. I believe that I need to hold on to a little bit of hope somewhere, and I have to find solace in the Word of God. So I have to give the glory for that. My name is Nikki Tillman. I'm a proud transplant resident in Piscataway, New Jersey, coming from Newark, East Orange area. I've been in the area for about almost 30 years, and I'm running because I really love where I live, and I want to do my part to make sure that we can restore government in a way that is fair, transparent, accountable, and beneficial to everybody that's involved. And that's the part of my campaign. I use my network, my connections, everything that I have to try to bring everybody to the table so that we can have that dialogue. Dialogue is so important in government, and I think that's lacking. And that's one of the things I'd like to do to help continue to increase dialogue. So thank you. I'm humbly grateful for this opportunity to run and for you to allow me to support you and uphold your voice and advocate for your affairs. So thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Leibowitz, and I am running for town council with this amazing slate of individuals. I have lived in Piscataway for 16 years, and I have worked as a teacher in our school district for over 30 years, working with so many wonderful children and families. And as a teacher, hope springs eternal. Every day is an opportunity for growth, and every day is a new day. And when you see a problem, you want to fix it. And so as I've become involved and aware of what's going on in our local government, I see that I am willing, interested, able, and ready and motivated to join with my friends here to bring open, transparent energy and education and engagement to the town of Piscataway and to our government. And that is why I am running.
thanks, Laura. I'm Ralph Johnson, and I'm running for city council at large. I lived in Piscataway for nearly 20 years with my beautiful wife, Keisha, and our 4 lovely children, 2 of which are still in the school system as we speak. I'm an active law enforcement officer for nearly 23 and a half years, waiting for retirement. I've also been simultaneously a teacher, an administrator, a youth development mentor for nearly 12 years. I've been a youth baseball and football coach here in town, as well as serving as part of the youth and men's ministry of Zion Hill Baptist Church here in Piscataway. I'm also elected school board member, but the most important reason why I'm running is because I care deeply about this community, and I really want to make a positive impact. For all those who deeply know me, they understand that I care about the elderly, special needs, and the children. That's always been my focus. It will always remain to be my focus because they are our future, and our elders are represent and guide us. And they have to have a voice, and they have to be connected to. So hopefully you'll vote for our whole team.
Thank you, Ralph, and thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Laura. Again, my name is Bill Irwin, and I'm running for mayor because I believe that government should be open and honest and transparent and serve the interests of the people, not the politically connected. I've been a Piscataway resident for 20 years with my wife, Stacy, my sons, Billy and Sam, who gone through Piscataway Public Schools, gotten a fantastic education there, and we're grateful to our educators and our teachers, and really everybody involved in the school system. I know from experience on the school board, they do a terrific job. I've been an active volunteer in the community, particularly in coaching, Little League and rec baseball, and I was proud to be elected twice to the Piscataway Township Board of Education, and to serve as a volunteer there for 6 years, 4 of them as president of the board. And during that time, we proved that government can be open and transparent, and work for the people it represents by videotaping and broadcasting all our meetings like we said we would, and inviting the public to participate in all of our committee meetings, and consistently addressing the concerns of people in a respectful, straightforward, and honest manner. And we want to bring those values to municipal government. So to find out more about our campaign and candidates, to view our previous presentations, to read our platform, or to support or donate to the campaign, please go to pway2020.com. That's the homepage, or if you want to go directly to the candidates page where everything is listed, pwayprogressives.com 2020-candidates. And that is the link where you would find our past programs on pilot tax giveaways, environmental issues and community energy aggregation, open government for all, and the tax reval scam, which turned into a 3-part series because there was a lot to talk about. So parts 1, 2, and 3 can be located there. As a reminder, please feel free to send us your questions and comments on the live stream. We will do our very best to answer them as we go along. And as always, if we don't know the answer to something, we'll tell you that, and then we'll go find out. So today's topic. Today we're going to talk about unplugging the local political machine. Now, you've heard us use the term the machine in the past, so we thought it would be a good idea to look a bit more into what that term means, what a political machine is, how it means itself, how it holds on to power, and why it is bad for democracy. We know that past presentations have been a bit dry, and let's face it, it's hard to discuss property taxes and tax abatements and pilot programs without getting pretty far into the weeds of policy and legal detail. So we thought today we'd try something a little bit different. We're fortunate enough to have 2 teachers, Laura Leibowitz and Kamula Tillman, on our ticket. And they're going to do what teachers do, which is break it down for us in a way that's easy to understand and have a bit of fun in the process. So Laura and Nikki, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you so much. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to my classroom for the day, a little Piscataway Political Science 101. Piscataway, this is our current mayor, Brian Wahler. He has been the mayor for the last 20 years. Now he wants another 4 years at least, because he says he wants to be the mayor for life.
Wait, mayor for life? Wait a minute, a mayor is a lifetime job? I thought there were term limits. Are there not any term limits for this?
Nope.
Wait, but people really have political positions, Laura, for their whole life? Let's talk about this for real. I mean, that's like being a queen or a dictator, right? I thought in this country, we were a democracy. And a public office was supposed to be a public service, limited, where people serve for a while, and then they go back to their private lives. What happened to that idea? What's going on, Laura?
Well, that is how it's supposed to work, and what the framers of the Constitution had in mind. But these days, people get into office and they just stay there forever. And it's not good for democracy. With the same people year after year, you never get new voices and ideas. And if there's no way to get them out of office, who are they really accountable to?
That's a good point, and that's one of the things that I want to bring up. So wait, Mayor Wallace has been there for 20 years, and he gets paid about, what, $45,000? That's not a lot of money over 20 years. I mean, why would anyone want to hold a job for 20 years at $45,000? We live in New Jersey, people. Taxes alone kick our $45,000 salary.
Well, the $45,000 salary might not seem like a lot, but there's a lot more to the story.
Okay.
You have to know that the way a political machine keeps going is through the buddy system.
Okay.
The faces may change from time to time, but they're all part of the same machine.
So you got 3 men who have been mayors of Piscataway for 46 of the last 50 years.
Yes, 50 years. And the mayor's salary that the public sees is only the tip of the iceberg. There's all sorts of other ways to make money by being in cahoots with the people that hold all of this political power. For example, Bob Smith, current Senator Bob Smith. He started on the Piscataway Town Council in 1977, then became mayor, then a member of the state assembly, and now a state senator. State senators get paid $49,000 a year, but that's not where the real money is.
Oh wait, he's also a lawyer. Now this I know. He's a lawyer who represents developers in front of our zoning and planning boards, right? That's the same Bob Smith.
Correct.
So if you want to get something done, this is political science, right? So we talking this thing out. If you want to get something built in Piscataway, he's the guy you have to hire because he has a lot of control over who he gets to put on these boards in the first place, correct?
Exactly. That's how a political machine generates big dollars for its members and friends. Wahler appoints the members of the boards, and Wahler answers to Smith.
Yeah, but that would be a conflict of interest, Laura. I mean, for someone to actually be arguing the case in front of the people that he had influence over the appointment of. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, not according to New Jersey law, but we'll let the people decide that for themselves, how it looks. But anyway, there is a lot of money to be made representing the developers in front of those boards.
That's how he owns that $1 million shore house where he spends most of his time. It's adding up. I'm an English teacher, but I can do the math.
Yes, I noticed. There's a lot of numbers in here, but we're handling it well.
I have a question. What about Ted Light?
All right. Well, Ted Light was mayor from 1971 to 1980. He turned it over to Bob Smith. Then Bob Smith turned it back over to him when he got elected. So he was mayor again until 1995. And he still retains a lot of local power, all the local power, by being chair of the Piscataway Democratic Organization. But again, the real power is not, and money is not in these positions of mayor and senator salaries.
Right.
It's all in the other positions that people get when they hold those positions. This is called political patronage. The big bosses reward the people who do what they want in positions like mayor by giving them other local, county, or state jobs. And those jobs are their real source of income. And they can be taken away as easily as they're given. It's how the big bosses keep power over those people in positions like mayor and council. You want the patronage job, you got to play ball. Right, exactly.
So they make a whole career pretty much financially by being politicians. So wait, okay, so you got Wahler, you got Light, and Smith. And just these 3 men alone have mayors for 46 of the last 50 years. So 46, but there's 4 years that's not accounted for. So if I remember, there was another mayor. Who was it? It was a lady. The 4 years. Helen Marola. Yes. Yeah. And she was, how am I telling? We had just moved out here, but I know she was pretty vocal about a lot that was going on. She was the one that was making the big deal about the Halper Farm, what was going on back then.
Correct. So she was kind of caught up in the machine, and she was making her way and on the committees, and she was all part of the deal. And once she started speaking up, that was it. Then all of a sudden she was out.
Wow. So basically, Miss Marola wasn't playing ball. So they replaced her on the party line back with Brian Wahler which is how this circle just kept going over and over again. Am I right? Am I following you?
You got it. So the bosses like Smith and Light decide who gets to be on the party line. And the people on that line usually run unopposed in the primary, and they win. And then they go on in November, you know, to win their positions.
Okay, so I got the connection. I understand and I see but how does a machine really work? People may think we're speculating. So how does this really work based on what you were just saying?
Well, this has been a lot of information right now. Let's just stop for a second. And are there any questions on the feed so far?
That was good, Laura. That was really good.
Man, that was amazing. Bill, I can't hear you. So, well, since I can't hear Bill, he's looking up the questions. You guys talked about the party line and party line voting.
Yes.
It's an amazing thing because party line voting is a deliberate assembly of a group of people who all vote the same way.
Right.
Most of the time, it's in opposition to the other political party. But when it's like the primary, like we're going through now, that term means nothing because the merits of the issues at hand don't even matter. More importantly, the fundamental beliefs of that party and individual members who represent the people are irrelevant because they're only worried about winning the election seat.
Yeah.
And they're dictated by a few party bosses. And in P-Way, it's the 3 or 4 people, and you keep scratching your head and saying to yourself, how do they keep getting elected? I didn't even vote for them.
Yeah.
And why they also record votes into majority votes, minority votes. So basically, this is division of power. So when the parties, they know exactly to what degree and how many votes they need to get to their goal. Just go back and look at Donald Trump's impeachment. He had nothing to fear, and he knew it because he knew the Senate majority assured him that he had all the votes, so he could stand there strong. But did you know that in New Jersey, we're the only place that sets up ballots this way? Then the campaign donations that you mentioned and the insider politicians go to candidates on that line. So it's really, really difficult for anyone outside of that line to beat them. And that's why the same people keep getting elected year after year after year. And that's how the local party bosses keep controlling everything. Repeat this, right? The elected officials, if they don't do what the party bosses want, they get kicked off the line. And then they don't win. Then their political careers and all that patronage job that you just mentioned, they're all over. But you know what? I think I said enough. I mean, let's get back to this, Bill. If there are any questions, I want to get back to you because you guys are amazing.
That's what people are asking at the door. I didn't vote for him. How do you keep getting it? And you know what that does? That turns people into apathetic voters. You know what apathetic voters turn into? Trump election. Trump is how we got in. 49% of Americans didn't even. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Go ahead. You understand what I'm saying? It's enough to make you so frustrated that you feel that you don't want to participate. No, and that's how they keep getting. That's how. I'm sorry.
Yep. No, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about voter participation a little further on. It's important. It's important. People gotta vote, gotta participate, especially in the primaries. We had a couple questions we want to try to address real quick. One question I'll take. How will you open up communication? The school board, the two groups need to work together. Certainly the way that the municipal government and the school board works together is when you have folks on both of those governing bodies that are interested in doing so, that want to work together, that really want to move things forward. Now, I'll say that the officers that like the direct traffic, our school resource officers, some of those resources that the school system, gets from the municipal government do a terrific job. But when I was on, I had this experience when I was on the school board and we reached out to the local government repeatedly. What can we do together? What can we do more? How can we work together? They were not interested. Like they took a meeting and burned 45 minutes of the clock in that meeting saying like, well, here's, and this is years ago now, this is 3-4 years ago, like, well, here's the plans for the new community center, like showing us architectural drawings of the community center. I'm like, well, that's fantastic. You know, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. But like, you know, they as things stand, you know, they want to do their own thing and just be left alone to do their thing. And we're going to talk about, you know, what their thing is a little more here. So yeah, I think there's opportunities for those groups to work together, sure, but you have to have folks that are interested in doing it. I mean, look, the mayor just finished taking over a majority of the school board, right? That's what happened the last 2 elections.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's be real. The candidates that ran under, you know, the column Better, Safer Schools, you know, those were directly backed by the Piscataway Democratic Organization, Ted Light, Mayor Wahler, Bob Smith, the same folks we're talking about.
Right.
Financially backed by them, they were put out by them. Why? Because it was revenge against folks that had been on the school board, you know, who started to speak up about what was going on in local government. They said, okay, we got to get them out of there. We've got to get our own folks on the school board. And, you know, I know as a school board member, Ralph can't talk directly about this stuff now, but I'm no longer on the school board, so I can tell you what actually goes on there. And it is important who's there and that those folks know what they're doing and that they really represent the interests of the kids and they do their homework and they put in the time. And I invite anyone, you know, to ask folks that are in the school system, you know, what the board was like a couple of years ago and what it's like now. And I assure you there's a difference. And then we also had another question, you know, doesn't Ted Light's daughter work for the city? Well, that's a question about, you know, how the patronage machine works. So we're going to get to that. So let's, if there aren't any more questions now, let's get back to the presentation. We can take some more questions later. I think we were just talking about how does this machine really work? And I'll turn it back over to Nikki.
Big boss. All right, so back to the lesson, and I really appreciate all of the input that you very engaged students are adding to our lesson today. And it's you know, I'm being a little facetious, but it's very important. And it's, you know, when you really start to look at the pieces, it's a well-oiled, well put into place and long established system. And this is our big boss, Senator Smith. He has access to the big political donors and hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions that go into his election fund. And then that money flows out of his fund to support the candidates that he wants elected.
And when you say the candidates that he wants to be elected, you pretty much mean the candidates that do what he says to do.
Right.
All right. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, who are some of the donors? I mean, I know the New Jersey Election Law Commission has this database. You know, one thing about me, I'm nosy. I'm gonna look it up. Bill has equipped me to research and find anything. So I know that there's this database. You can search for who's donating the campaigns. So I looked it up. All right. And when I pulled up Senator Bob Smith, his is like a mile long, and it's made of all sorts of different companies. Some I know, some I don't. That profit from millions of dollars worth of public contracts and private and public development. And like, okay, so here's just a few.
Okay, so I'm looking at your list here. CME Associates.
Yep.
They get the $1 million contract to do work on River Road improvements.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the same company. And even on that project, there's a pay to play business as usual.
All right, looking at the list, Netta Architects. Didn't they get the contract to do work on the community center?
Yep, yep. Well, I mean, like, what do you think?
And I see a political action committee made up of PSE&G executive.
Yep.
Is that why they didn't support our community energy aggregation? Because PSE&G doesn't want the competition.
Of course. I mean, what you think, Laura? Listen, come on now.
Karzinski.
Mm-hmm.
That name sounds familiar.
All right, let me just take you back to one of our campaign chats. That's the one that were able to sell their land at 150 Old New Brunswick Road for that $41 million deal that was made possible because the fix was in. It was in with the tax giveaway with the pilot program. And that developer brought it. So Bob Smith and Associates also represented CRBE and the developers of 800 Centennial Avenue, that truck stop and zoning board approval process. So it's all being connected to money and stuff. But who does it go back to? Bob the builder. And he's building a legacy of incumbency with these pay-to-play contracts that he's negotiating without the benefits of the people of Piscataway.
So each one of these mayors has had a role to play.
Yep.
The three that have been in play in the last 50 years.
Right.
This is the main source of money is from Bob. I like Bob the builder. All right, so this is how the machine funds itself. And each of them has had their role. All right, Mayor Wahler carries out the agenda locally. He makes sure that all the donors are very happy with their contracts and their tax breaks. And Ted Light has headed, the machine here in town, as I've talked about. So now we're looking at, I know we've talked about who gets the line on the ballot in town. This is why we know that they carry out their agenda that they want to have in place. So I'm looking at our slides here. Hold on one moment. Got the blue glasses, not the red glasses today. So this is the machine. Okay. I talked about the slush fund. Mayor Wahler carries it out. All right. And if you look at recent election documents, and I appreciate the list that you generated, Ted Light lists his address as being in another town. He's actually in Toms River.
Wait, what? Wait. So he has publicly, on this public document, said that he doesn't even live here. But he's still running the Piscataway Democratic Organization. That's what you call remote control. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, I guess the machine is like a remote control. You feel me? You're in one place, but you're running things in another. I'm just saying. I'm the student here. I'm just saying.
You're doing a great job. So as we said before, the party machine gets to decide who runs the line on the ballot, and all those people who know will carry out they put on people that they know are going to carry out their agenda. And this is why we have the same people in office doing the same things.
Right. So it sounds like we got things, they got it pretty wrapped up tight. Like you can't, it's like a fortress here in Piscataway. It's pretty tight. But
it is.
Why is it so important? Like real talk, like why is this so important to understand the connection and how this whole machine actually works? How is that so relevant to now? I'm running now, and that's what people really want to know. Okay, I get it. Why is it so important, Lauren? What's the point?
So these are all positions right here now in town, not in Toms River, not down the shore.
Toms River.
All right, and good question. So holding all the elected office, that they can control who gets all the township and county jobs. They can hand out those jobs as favors to ensure loyalty and control over lots of people. And there's a lot more of those jobs than most people realize.
So it's not really what you know. So we really could have people in positions running our town that may not even be qualified, but it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Am I, or no?
Of course, exactly, for 50 years. For example, the mayor's job brings a very nice bonus with it. It's another job on top of that mayor job. One pays $91,000 a year with the County Improvement Authority.
Okay. So is that the mayor's salary?
Right.
Plus he gets another $91,000 for a job they give him because he's mayor. So that's about $140,000 a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be mayor for life too. That's why. Come on, that's why you want to be mayor for life. You get 140 plus the pension plus. Come on, $140,000 for the rest of your life.
Right.
For the rest of your natural life.
Right. So there's a lot of benefits with that.
Okay.
Like you said, pension benefits. It's a good deal if you're willing to do whatever Bob Smith.
I told you, yeah, Bob the Builder.
Remember that $91,000 a year job can be taken away just as easily as it was given, and that's how the big bosses make sure everyone stays in line.
That's not cool though, for real. Like that's like this little buddy system that we have, like in Canada. But that's not democratic. You can't have a buddy system like that and be a democrat in a system that's supposed to work democratically. You feel what I'm trying to say?
I totally hear you. And in fact, it's even worse. The Middlesex County Democratic Party, I am proud that I was elected as a Middlesex County Democratic Committee woman for my district. And so I got to vote and I get privy, I'm part of this party where I get to hear and listen in on what's going on and decisions being made. Right. And recently, they just suspended party elections in 2021.
But 2021 is like a year away. Like we're just in the middle of 2020.
2021. I know it sounds crazy, but this May, the Middlesex County Democratic Organization canceled the 2021 primary election for county committee, retroactively extending the terms of people elected in 2019 for a 2-year term to a 4-year.
That's not. It's like they don't even want people to vote for who represents them from their own neighborhood on county committee. I mean, that's and that's why I realize we get so much pushback. Because it has something to do with people actually starting to challenge these positions like ourselves. Like I remember running and having to fight to even just get on the ballot. That's that whole thing. That's just so undemocratic. And it's the thing that I chose to run on. This whole unaccountability, this lack of transparency. It's undemocratic. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, it has everything to do with that. Bring this whole concept of challenging, really what's going on. And a lot of people don't know it, but technically this county committee position, the county committee people, the ones who vote to get that party line. Right. That's why those party bosses have to make sure that all those committee people will vote the way they want. The would rather not have elections for committee people at all.
But can they do that? Can they do it?
Well, I guess we're going to have to take them to court to find out. But for sure, nobody should be extending their own term of office. It's not democratic.
Absolutely not. And actually, painful because the decision was made during a time of coronavirus, a pandemic that has affected all of us. And shame on you, all of you who use the coronavirus as an excuse to grab even more power. Shame on you. Shame on each and every one of you. Shame.
Well, I'm very proud to say that I voted no.
Good. Thank you. Doing the right thing.
So this, I think it's time again for a little digestion and some questions.
I'm really seeing how this, I hope our residents and neighbors are too, because just in this dialogue alone, I've been able to see the big picture of that $1 million questions people keep asking. How does this keep happening?
Right.
I mean, even said if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is insanity. But now I know I'm not crazy. There is a process deliberately in place to keep this machine moving.
Right.
Bill, I know you're about to go into questions, but wait, slow down. You guys have to. we kind of glossed over that. You mean term limits? I mean, it's so wrong for local politicians to extend their own terms of office, not allowing the people to vote, actually canceling the elections under the guise of coronavirus. But in fact, they really did that. That's what you're telling me. They actually did it. Just imagine if Donald Trump did that in 2020, what he's proposing to do. What would these same people be saying?
Exactly.
I mean, we have to look at it. Representatives are supposed to be public servants. It's written for the people, by the people. But because they're so interested in these seats, all along with your well-established fundraising machines, it just becomes nearly impossible to unseat them, especially if their positions are fortified by all this political patronage, as you said.
Money, honey.
Any money, all these incumbent advantages. This is why, again, you mentioned it, Nikki. This is why over and over again, 90% of the incumbents who actually run for re-election succeed. And this is how we ended up with the Imperial City Council. I mean, this sounds like a movie. Sounds like Star Wars.
Yeah, the Imperial Dream.
So we, I see we're at the hour mark, and I want to thank the viewers that have been hanging with us and continue to hang with us. I know sometimes we're on for a long time, but we like to be thorough. We like to go into it. So before anyone that's been hanging on drops off because they got to do something else, I do want to address one important question that came in. Someone asked, why is the primary and the general? The general election, of course, is important in November, and we got to get Trump out. We got to vote. That's important. Right. We got to get representatives in there that will oppose the Trump agenda. But locally, people need to understand in Piscataway, the primary election is when the election really happens around here for local government. That's demographics. That's how it works. That's historically the way it's been. The folks that win in the primary election in usually June, but this year July, those are the folks that belong in local government office around here in November. So if you're not voting in the primary, you're sitting the primary out. If you're not voting specifically in the Democratic primary, you're not giving yourself a voice on who's going to get elected in November. It's as simple as that. I know folks have a lot of different opinions on that, but if you go back through all of the election history and the turnout, the demographics of the town, and who's registered with what party and who votes and who turns out in presidential elections and what that looks like, it is a fact that whoever is on the Democratic line locally is going to win in November. That's the way the math works. Unless something changes dramatically, but it's not likely to anytime soon. So that's why it's so important to vote in the primary, and that's why we're trying to give folks a choice in the primary election, because that's when the real election happens around here for local government.
It's funny, Bill, when you mentioned that the party line, and that's actually how it works. I don't know if people remember, but back when we had 21 presidential candidates, the actual party said, you know what? We're not going to allow downline voting because they weren't sure who was going to be president. Not even Joe Biden at the time was going to be the candidate. He was actually looking to bow out. And then he had a resurgence in the South. And then miraculously was like, oh, we're down to one candidate? Oh, we can do it.
We can do the line,
We can do the line now. So,
line is back.
The line is back. So I want people to really be watching. And especially, we took a moment of silence earlier, and this is the things that people need to do. Local politics matter.
They do.
It dictates how you're going to be treated and who is going to be responsive to you. So no longer can you sit by the sidelines. You have to get part of it. And as you mentioned, the primary is where it happens.
Yes.
I'm going to ask the candidates what they think about this on the fly. It's something of an audible, but we do have, we want to talk some more about, what that power is protecting locally. As we talked about before, we want to talk about how some of these jobs are interconnected in the web, and how, you know, everybody gets put on the payroll, and then like come election time, there's another payroll where everybody's getting paid to, you know, get out to vote, and how that maintains control. And it's you know, how they maintain control over the council as well. It's a lot of stuff to get to, and I'd hate to rush through it. So I'm wondering if maybe since we've been on, you know, more than an hour now, maybe we should take a break and come back to part two. These always end up a little longer than we think they're gonna, right?
Absolutely. I think anything we do is deliberate and intentional, but it's deliberate and intentional to be informed and engaged and open up the lines of communication. So I agree that there is so much more to unpack, but I hope you guys are starting to see the connection between three names that you consistently hear in Piscataway and Middlesex County. But there's more to that we could talk about. But yes, Bill, for the sake of time, I wouldn't want to rush that, because we've always been detailed and meticulous about information we gave to our residents so that they can research and look up what we did. I would propose that we do a part two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
We like doing things in parts to make sure you know.
on another half hour, 45 minutes on this topic today, but it's just not reasonable to ask folks to hang for an hour.
Right.
Yes.
On a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Like, I really appreciate how long they've hung with us thus far. So this, all right, let's do part two next week. That has got everybody in agreement on that. That sounds good.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
The
All right.
I
bells.
really enjoyed the lesson though.
We need to start exit tickets, right, Laura?
All right, democracy in action. We voted on it.
All in favor.
But the lesson was amazing. I just, you know, we might have to put up a quiz question because it was under. And my favorite is Bob the Builder. I'm sorry.
Bob,
Yeah.
he's building, but think about what has been built for 50 years at his tutelage.
Well, I think, you know, when we see the topics that have come up today, these are things that have come up to us when we're hearing from people.
Right.
Why keep voting them down? And you know, we hear all this public sentiment. We're done with them. It's enough already. Why keep winning? I don't like all this overdevelopment in town. What is, you know, what's with the warehouses? We were such a beautiful, you know, community with old trees, and, you know, yes, we need business, but there's a way to mix that with a master plan. You know, what happened to new voices who are, you know, I used to hear from different people in the community. So all of these things have come up to us when we used to be able to go to the door to door, but now we're getting emails and text messages and phone calls. People are stopping me when I run, and they're, you know, talking through their window. Wait, Laura, I got to tell you something. But these are the issues, you know, that come up. So yes, we can do part two next week.
I think we should too.
All right, well, and let's remind folks, and check again just to see if we have any other questions that are coming in, but you know, let's remind everyone that pway2020.com is the place to go to find out information about our campaign, to view the previous presentations, to read our platform, or to support or donate to the campaign, which of course we always appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who's helped us out with some donations. So that's where the program will be posted. And of course, we want to know what you think. You know, we're not the career politicians on the inside. We are the Dems on your side. We invite you to take an online community survey. Tell us about your concerns and your priorities for township action. Get the address on the screen there, tinyurl.com/PWay survey. And lastly, we invite everyone to get involved and of course to donate. Becoming part of this campaign to take back the government of Piscataway for the folks that live here. If you're tired of the same career politicians like we've been talking about, and connected insiders running the show for their benefit year after year, and you want to help do something about it, we encourage you to go to the link below, support PWay 2020, and become part of this campaign. When politicians don't enact term limits, voters can.
Yes.
Of course, since we don't take the contributions from the developers, the political insiders, and the special interests that currently run our town, to make a small contribution to our campaign, please go to tinyurl.com/PWay2020 donate. And of course, all of this is on pway2020.com. You These are the direct links, but you go to pway2020.com. You might have to dig around a little bit, click on 2020 candidates, but you'll find it. So, look, the only way that politics is ever going to get fixed is if the big money gets taken out of it. That's I think that's the overarching lesson of today's presentation. Like we've got to get the big money out of politics, and we're going to talk more about why next week. So with that, any other candidates had anything else they wanted to say in closing before we sign off?
Nope, just have a wonderful Saturday. Be blessed, be safe, be encouraged, and vote. That's the biggest thing I have. Please make sure that you vote.
I just want to, echo, of course, thank you, everybody that's joining in, following in, asking good questions, reaching out to us. We're hearing from people all over town with their areas of expertise, questions, which I love. And please do remember, we are a grassroots organization. That little list of all the big campaign and people in town, that is not us.
Yeah,
So,
not giving us.
Yeah, you are our special interest.
We are a grassroots organization, people. So pway2020.com. And thank you so much, Column A for Piscataway.
Definitely. I just want to tell the people again, thank you for all your love and support. This is a very difficult, hard uphill battle that we're fighting because each of us actually get retaliated against all the time for the dare audacity to challenge the big party politics. So with that said, it's a personal commitment from all these members here and all of you. And I know they're coming. So we always trying to stay a step ahead, but understand this is a dirty game at times, and we're always going to take the high road. As Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. So again, I thank you and good luck to everyone and enjoy the wonderful weather.
Thank you, Ralph, and thank you, Laura. Thank you, Nikki. Mula, I always call you Nikki. Mula on the ballot, so I got to say Mula too. Yeah, Ralph, you're right. I mean, any day now we can expect the attack ads to start appearing in the mailboxes. Trying to discredit us or tell people what bad people we are for trying to run and bring some democracy to Piscataway. But that's all right. We've been there before, and we know who we are, and we know why we're doing what we're doing, and that's enough for me. I'm not going to worry about what folks have to say about us. And thank you so much again to Pastor Hampton for joining us today, for his personal endorsement. We very much appreciate that. It means a lot coming from a leader in our community. And thank Pastor Hampton and all the good folks, Zion Hill and First Lady Sharon, for just doing what they do to help out all those families in our community. And thank everybody in the Neighborhood Aid Network for your continuing donations and support to that effort. It means a lot. And that is all we have for you today. As always, we are the Dems on your side. Please keep an eye out for your mail ballots and vote in the Democratic primary. We will be located in column A on the ballot. All registered Democrats should be receiving vote by mail ballots that they will have to fill out. If you're not registered with either party, if you're registered as an independent or unaffiliated voter, you can vote in the Democratic primary. My understanding is they'll be sending out applications for vote by mail ballots to unaffiliated or independent voters that you'll then have to fill out in order to get the ballot. But some of those decisions are still being made at the state level, so it's not entirely clear. But if you're an unaffiliated voter and you get a vote by mail application, just know that you can vote in the Democratic primary. And for reasons we discussed before, if you're sitting this one out, then you're not having a voice in who gets elected locally. So again, we look forward to seeing you soon. Same time next week, we'll wrap up today's presentation. Keep an eye out on Facebook for us. As always, we are the Dems on your side. Bill Irwin for mayor, Kamula Tillman for council, Laura Leibowitz for council, Ralph Johnson for council, column A, Democratic primary. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.